What is going on, everyone? That's right, I'm here to give you my thoughts on the new Jason short film, Sweet Revenge. Of course, this was in collaboration with Angry Orchard Cider, something like that. I don't know. I don't drink it. I have no idea. But it was in collaboration with them, which was a very strange and bizarre thing that we learned about, obviously, a while back. But now we have the Jason universe. They've teased they were going to do something. We saw the trailer to this a couple weeks ago or so. And people were concerned about how Jason was going to look with this new mask and everything. People were still not on board with the new mask. And I get it, but I wanted to see it in full action before I gave my full opinion on that. So, luckily, we now know what it looks like in full action. Now, of course, Jason was only shown briefly in all of these scenes in very fleetingly quick cuts like that. There are some shots where he's kind of just standing there and you get a good look at him, but for the most part, very fleeting, which is good. That's how it should be. He shouldn't just be standing there at all times. It should be that way. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the short film overall. It's more of a vignette or commercial, I guess, even though it doesn't feel like one. It just feels like a standard short film, but unlike Never Hike Alone and all those, this is an actual official Jason product, Jason on screen that we've gotten since 2009. And I will say this. The first thing I noted was the vibe, the whole vibe of it was very well done. The setting was very well done. The music, I absolutely love the music. It's very Manfredini, and I just love it. Absolutely loved it. And I think they need to do that, stick with that for sure for a full-length movie, because that is Friday the 13th when you hear that kind of music, right? I mean, it just gets you right in the mood and really sets the tone for a Friday the 13th film. Of course, we have these kids. They come to the camp. We don't know why they're there. I guess they're camp counselors. There's an old man and his wife apparently have taken over the camp. And he lets them know, yeah, we took it over, but obviously it has a troubled past. Lets the girl know. I don't remember the names right off the hand, guys, so just bear with me. I just watched it, and it's just fresh in my mind, but the names aren't, so we're going to talk the way I'm talking about it. So she's talking to him. He gives her a little apple. She eats it and all that stuff. But we see him talk about this boat motor he has ready to go, and that comes into play later. As we saw, she goes and tells her boyfriend, I'm going out on the lake. I'll meet you there. And he says, well, I don't have my swimsuit. And she's like, I didn't say nothing about a swimsuit. So we see her on the dock, of course, and she's being watched by somebody within a scope, an optic of some kind. And you're like, wow, Jason really has upgraded his game. And then you realize it was the old man, actually. Big pervert, of course. But she's sitting on the dock. And then she gets tired of waiting on the boyfriend, so she takes a little boat ride and row her boat on Crystal Lake, which is it's always a good idea to row your boat on Crystal Lake. And of course, Jason pops out of the water, pulls her under, but here he must be toying with her because she does get away, and it's nightfall now, and she's swimming out of the lake, gets to shore, and of course he follows behind her. He's not right behind her, but we know he's still out there. We saw earlier 2 of the counselors or people, whatever they are, have deceased via Jason with their throats cut open in very gory fashion. And we proceed. Now it's nighttime. She goes up to the old man's house. There's apples everywhere. She sees him sitting in the chair, turns him around. The scope that he was looking at her with is now in his eye. He's got a big apple in his mouth. Mouth is like stretched real big, which I thought was funny looking. She comes back to the cabin where her boyfriend is, only to find out that he's making out with one of the other girls. Naturally, of course he is. Jason comes up behind her while she's seeing this through the window and picks her up and throws her through the window. And she crashes through the window. They're all like, oh my goodness, what is going on? The other guy comes out of the room wondering what the hell, how the window broke. The boyfriend's like, I'm going to get help or something. And he goes run to the door. He gets the door kicked in on him. He's underneath the door now on the ground. Jason is there with boat motor in hand, fires that bitch up and slices his face off. And then proceeds to take that boat motor, turn it upside down, tear the propeller off, and then throw it at the other guy trying to get away, sticking him right in the back with the propeller. That's classic Jason. All that was absolutely classic Jason stuff. Loved that. And then the one girl trying to get away is about to put an apple dicer thing, I forget what they're called, but he was about to do it to her face. He stabbed the other girl, the one that we've been following from the beginning. He stabbed her with the machete that she found in the old man's house. Old man's garage, I should say. He did stab her with that, but she pulled it out, and she's still going. And then they try to get away, but of course they're in the vehicle, and the one girl's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I did that. In the midst of all this, the other girl grabbed the butcher knife from the kitchen, and she's in their car with her, of course, trying to get away. And she's like, I'm so sorry I did that to you. And then she's like, fuck that. Bam, and just stabs her, and she's dead, which is, I kind of knew was coming. It's like, okay. You knew it was coming. And then we end with Jason and this girl facing off in the street, but then the girl is kind of like smirky or something. It's very strange how it ends. It ends very abruptly, leaving you wanting more or wanting to know more of what's going on. The only thing I would say is I really hope, like, if there's any kind of continuation of this, please don't make her like Jason's sidekick. Now, it would be interesting if she was being possessed by his mother's spirit, which is also a very possible thing, because as it went on, she went from normal and then slowly degrading over the course of the film to the point where at the end, now she's just completely psycho. So you almost wonder, is the spirit of mother inhabiting her? It could be. It could be, and that would actually be understandable. I could see that. I could see that. If it's done right, I could definitely see that being a way to go. Anyway, that's where it ends. Doesn't matter. That's where it ends. And I thought, personally, it was a damn good time. First time we're finally officially seeing Jason on the screen again since 2009. As far as the actor playing Jason, I thought he did a fine job. Maybe a little thinner than you would think Jason to be, but honestly, when you go back and think about Richard Brooker or even Ted White, they weren't massively hulking. They were big, though, but they weren't massively hulking like Kane Hodder and others would be later in the franchise. So it fit. It's fine, especially, Steve Dash and Warrington Gillette in Part 2. They weren't hulking by any means. So I was okay with the size of Jason. Yeah, he was a little thinner than what you're expecting, but honestly, it didn't bother me. Looked fine, looked good. The makeup was good from what makeup they did have to do. And of course, that's going to lead me into the big thing that everybody's, been hung up on for months now, and that is the actual mask. The mask, I was like, okay, that's different, which again, and I've said this in other videos in the past, me being an artist, I appreciate when people take something and put their own spin on it, their own flavor to it. I've said this about the Michael Myers masks. I love when those are taken and they have their own spin. That's why I like all of the Michael Myers masks, even though the 1975 Captain Kirk from the 78 movie and Part 2 is the end-all, be-all of a Michael Myers mask, and you're never going to replicate it perfectly. So I do appreciate when they take it and turn it into their own, right? I like it. I like little things about each because of the artistic integrity to it that they took and made their own. So this Jason mask is no different. Greg Nicotero has actually worked on a few Michael Myers masks that he's taken and made his own, which I actually like Part 5, and I do like, oddly enough, the mask from H2O that he made because they're so very different, and again, they're his own style. That's just, when you put your own spin on it, that's what you get. This Jason mask is no different. I can see why people are having issues. Obviously, the eye holes are kind of like sunglasses in a way. They're a little bit rectangular. And you don't have as many holes in the mask, such as like this Part 8 mask. You don't have as many holes. You have 13, though, which is a good representation and a good thing to go with. Obviously, 13. The chevrons, they seem a little big compared to what we're used to seeing. I'd say, in my opinion, the only thing that I'm not 100% on board with are the eye holes. The rest of the mask, I think, is fine. And I'm not even really mad at the eye holes on the mask either, especially now, seeing it in motion on screen in a cinematic way, it's absolutely fine with me. I have no problem with it. I'm good. I'm on board. Hey, anything to get Jason officially back on the screen and get this ball rolling, to get the Friday the 13th franchise moving again, I'm on board. It's been too long to sit here and cry and bitch about every little thing, all right? It's been way too long. They're finally coming together to make this thing happen, to make a multitude of things happen, and so I am on board with it. Yes, I am going to have nitpicks. Yes, I am going to have criticisms and things like that. But that's okay. We're allowed to have that. But I'm still going to support it and enjoy it and have fun with it because we've waited so damn long for this shit to come back and happen again. And of course, we're going to get a new video game, it sounds like, which is great because the first game, not the LJN Nintendo game, but the first game, the Friday the 13th, the game, did really well, and I miss playing that. Of course, you can still play it with bots, but that ain't the same, obviously. I wish there would be more of a single-player element that's fleshed out. That would be nice, because when these servers go down, or the internet goes down for that matter, you're screwed. So it would be nice to have some kind of single-player mode that makes sense, that isn't just bots, and that's just all you do. That there's some kind of... I don't care if it's just a few hours. I don't care if it's just a couple hours of a single-player story you could play and maybe just make multiple endings happen with how you do stuff or whatever. Play as Jason and or a counselor, and then different paths you take result in different endings. It don't have to be a fleshed-out, super long game. It can be very arcade style as far as a single mode you could do on a video game. But, yeah, so I know, I go off on tangents. That's what I do. Bottom line, Sweet Revenge. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was really cool. They left me wanting more at the end with that weird ending. And there's a lot to be drawn from that, of course. And Jason on screen finally, in motion, the mask in motion in a cinematic way. Definitely not mad at it. I'm going to warm up to it. Again, I was not totally on board with it, just like a lot of people. But after seeing it in cinematic form, in movement and everything else, the way it should be seen, I can see myself getting on board with it more and more, to the point now where I'm actually trying to keep up with what's going on at my local Spirit Halloween stores, so maybe I can get my hands on one of those masks. I have to have all the masks. You know this. You know this. It's just like the Michael Myers masks. It's no different with the Jason masks. Gotta have all the masks. I just gotta have them. I don't care if anybody likes them or not. I don't care if they're piss poor or not. I'm a crazy horror collector, and that's what I'm going to do. That's just what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Jason looks good. Mask, it'll grow on me. I can see it growing on me. Honestly, I really can. If you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. And with that said, I will catch you all down the road.